All right, so in a rage-induced social media posting spree, Donald Trump seems to have reignited his feud with Canada, demanding that they be annexed and become the 51st American state. Now, to a normal human being, this rage all seems very strange, because it is, but for Donald Trump, it was very deliberate. We know why he's picking on Canada today, and that's because he got humiliated on the world stage once again. King Charles of Great Britain, a British monarch, visited Canada to open their parliament and speak in front of their parliament. Something like this hasn't happened in almost 50 years, and it was broadly seen as a dig at Donald Trump. And in the speech he gave in front of the parliament, he certainly took some shots at Trump and didn't hold back. And that's why I think Trump is kind of going down this spiral today. So let's take a look at what King Charles had to say in this speech, and then we'll talk about it after.
The King's trip to the opening of Canada's parliament is the first by a British monarch in nearly 50 years and is widely seen as pushback against Trump's calls for annexation. The speech he delivered today was written by Prime Minister Mark Carney, who has previously told Trump Canada is not for sale.
Today, Canada faces another critical moment. Democracy, pluralism, the rule of law, self-determination, and freedom are values which Canadians hold dear, and ones which the government is determined to protect. All Canadians can give themselves far more than any foreign power on any continent can ever take away. And that by staying true to Canadian values, Canada can build new alliances and a new economy that serves all Canadians.
Yeah, so the things that King Charles is discussing there are all things that Donald Trump doesn't like. You know, we're talking about democracy, we're talking about the rule of law, self-determination, sovereignty for Canada. Trump has attacked every single one of these things in different ways over time, and he hasn't stopped since. So this speech, kind of targeting the things that Donald Trump has suggested surrounding Canada, really sent him into a spiral. And it's just interesting to see this split screen where Canada is practicing democracy, enjoying democracy, while we here in the United States are wondering if it's going to be around much longer. And that's how we got to this moment, where Donald Trump on Truth Social went off on Canada, posting, and I quote, "I told Canada, which very much wants to be part of our fabulous Golden Dome system, that it will cost $61 billion if they remain a separate but unequal nation, but will cost $0 if they become our cherished 51st state." And then this is the sentence that really caught a lot of people's eye. "They are considering the offer," Donald Trump says. He says that Canada is actually sitting there considering his offer to become part of the United States of America. Now, we all know this to be complete fiction. Obviously, Canada is not actually considering this offer. This was never a consideration for Canada. Donald Trump is just making it up to poke fun at Canada. And I just find it interesting that we have so many problems around the world and so many problems here in the United States that need to be addressed, like, you know, a wannabe dictator running our country who's trying to cut Medicaid funding. And this is what Donald Trump decides to focus on. And I want to once again be very, very clear that, you know, Canada has made it abundantly known to the United States and to Donald Trump, to his face, by the way, that Canada is not for sale. Like, just take a look at what Prime Minister Mark Carney said to Donald Trump's face in the Oval Office when they met recently. I'm sure you've seen this clip, but it's always a fun watch.
What's your first state?
Yeah.
If Canadians don't want it, would you respect that?
Sure, I would. But this is not necessarily a one-day deal. This is over a period of time they have to make that decision. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, if I may. Respectfully, Canadians' view on this is not going to change on the 51st state. Secondly,
yeah, I mean, look, he right to Donald Trump's face, which we know he hates, he said, "This is not going to change. We will remain a sovereign nation. Canada will not be annexed. We certainly will not become the next state." And Canadians' views on this is clear. No Canadian wants to become part of the United States, no matter how much Donald Trump lies about it. And yet Donald Trump still pushes forward with stuff like this. He continues to push away our allies. Canada is one of America's best friends. And by the way, even after all of the stuff that Donald Trump has put them through, they are still operating in good faith with the United States. But Donald Trump is clearly doing everything in his power to further push away our allies, which also is making our enemies around the world very happy. But I also want to point out something that Mark Carney said, which is Canadians are very clear about how they feel. Like there's no ambiguity here. There's no room for interpretation. Canadians don't want to become part of the United States, and that's also showing up in the data. Here's an article from back in April that really was scathing for Donald Trump. It reads, "How popular is Donald Trump in Canada? What polls show?" And some of these numbers are really, really bad. Polls show that a large majority of Canadians view Trump in a negative light, as so many different countries do, by the way. The United States' approval rating in countries around the world has collapsed virtually since Donald Trump got into office, with the majority of countries having the United States go down in how they view us. A new poll from Politico and Focal Data, which surveyed 2,826 Canadians from April 18th to April 13th, found that, and get ready for this, only 14% of respondents view Donald Trump favorably, while 75% view him unfavorably. Conservatives were more likely to view him favorably, but still only 24% of Canadian conservatives said they do, while 61% view him unfavorably. Those are really devastating numbers for Donald Trump, and it really goes to show you how much Canada just hates Trump. This is not just the United States thing. This is not just a you and me thing. This is a global thing. And all these different countries that Donald Trump is targeting, but especially Canada, they do not like him. They're not putting up with his crap, and they are making it known. And that's exactly why someone like Mark Carney recently got elected. He ran on an anti-Trump campaign, the entire campaign. He was always saying, "I will not tolerate what Donald Trump is doing here with his tariffs. I will not bow down to his threats." And what do you know? He managed to close in the race and eventually win after being down by many, many, many points. And that brings me to the final point I want to make on this story, which is Donald Trump's unpopularity, his threats, are not only impacting his popularity and his well-being in Canada, but it's also impacting the people around him. Tesla sales, Mr. Elon Musk, have completely collapsed in Canada. And it's not just a little bit, it's not just a couple percentage points, it's many. The Tesla sales in Canada slumped massively in January 2025, a decline of around 70% compared to December of 2024. The main causes are the sudden stop of state subsidies for electric vehicles and significant price increases for Tesla models. Now, while this data is from January of 2025, this is, remember, when Donald Trump was coming into the office, of course, becoming the president. Elon Musk had still been advocating for Donald Trump for quite some time at this point, saying he should be the next president, and of course, donating hundreds of millions of dollars to Donald Trump and the Republicans. And Canada was revolting. They were pushing back on both Trump and Musk in a way that they knew how, which is, let's just stop buying Elon Musk's cars. Let's stop engaging with this man and giving him all of our money. And now you see Tesla sales in January of 2025 declined around 70% compared to December of 2024. Huge, major decrease. And this decrease has also continued in Canada. And as we know, of course, all around the world, Europe is seeing massive collapses in Tesla sales. And I think you can all drive it back to what we're seeing here with Donald Trump, not only attacking Canada, but countries around the world and severing our relationships with a lot of these countries, making it harder for them to even do business here in the United States with his tariffs and all these different threats that he's making. But Donald Trump is continuing on his warpath, his attacks against Canada, and it's no surprise. They continue to embarrass him. They just continue to outmaneuver him and be more strategic than Donald Trump. And so he does stuff like this. He lashes out randomly. So listen, I will leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching. I just wanted to show you this insane Trump post and King Charles going after Trump today, which I thought was great. But thank you so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. Also drop a like on the video and comment. Let me know what you think about this story. And as I always say, I greatly, greatly appreciate you being here, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.